What inspired you to work for this project?
Basically, my district is very unique in various aspects. It's a Pathanamthitta district of Kerala. It's unique in a couple of elements, especially. One, that it's a heavily forested district. We have around 52% of our land area which is covered by forests. And that would also mean that we are prone to natural disasters. So, we have 3 major rivers that flows through the district. So arguably it's one of the cleanest places in India to be in, but at the same time we need to ensure that our population is well guarded against any possible hazard that might affect them. So we are the district that receives the max heaviest rainfall in the state. We are prone to a lot of landslides. We are prone to floods, cloud bursts and flash floods, and so multiple natural disasters keep happening at the same time in the district, especially in the last decade. The kind of disasters that befront us have actually changed in its nature. So we actually did a study on what kind of disasters might affect the population and in which areas they are bound to affect. And as a result, we did a good hazard mapping, and we tried to predict the disasters using various models with help from the IMD as well as other agencies and under the aegis of the State Disaster Management Authority. And that was one project which I thought was inevitable for the district, because disaster management is not only about responding to disasters. It is also about preventing, mitigating, foreseeing, giving the essential warnings, and also teaching people as to how to learn to live with disasters. So it comes under the preparedness for the disasters, the mitigation measures that one takes, plus the response, the rehabilitation and the reconstruction part. Only those 3 elements come actually after the disaster happens. So we try to focus as much as possible on the elements prior to the happening of the disaster as well. So including preemptive evacuation and hazard mapping and various elements like that. And we are also launching a disaster literacy program as well, in order to ensure that children right from their school going age learn about the various natural disasters that might affect them and how to respond as an individual and as a group.
I'll ask you some rapid fire questions. So who has been your role model in your journey?
I've had several role models, thankfully, but there's been one person who had actually inspired me to become an IAS officer, who is no longer with us now. He's Dr. Babu Paul IAS. He was one of the very famous and a doyen of civil services in Kerala, I would say. Not only during his time of service, during his tenure as an IAS officer, but even after that he continued to promote and inspire us by actually being the mentor emeritus of the Civil Services Academy there, of the State Civil Services Academy there. So I think most of us who are currently in the service right now have been his students as well.
What's the most important value for a civil servant, as you see?
I think the capacity as well as the curiosity to keep learning. That is the most important value, because as I said, you never know what is going to happen today or tomorrow when you're in the civil services. It is never a routine job. Every day presents such unique challenges to you that you ought to be a good learner. That is the only way to survive and flourish in civil services.
Can you describe in one word a feeling when you are receiving this award today?
I am humbled.
That's so like an IAS officer.
No, really, lot of love to my people of Pathanamthitta.
And what is your hobby? A lot of you don't get time as an IAS officer or as a civil servant. So what do you like to do in your free time?
It is not about not getting time. I think one can still pursue their other interests as well, whichever profession you're in. So I write, I give public speeches, plus I sing, I dance. I try and do as much as possible within the time that we get.
What has been the philosophy for your life?
I think rediscovering the world every single day. That's what I try to keep doing with my little son. who is now 3.5 years old, that process has become much easier because, when I look at the world through his eyes, it appears much more vibrant, and there's so much more goodness in the world when I look at it through his eyes. So, I keep rediscovering the world every single day, and that's what keeps pushing me ahead.
A lot of civil services aspirants are watching you today. What is a message you want to give to them? Why should they join IAS or civil services?
If you like to serve people, I think this is the best opportunity that you're going to get in our country, because there is no facet of life that remains untouched once you're a civil servant.
And finally, how do you think an IAS officer is going to contribute for the growth of this country?
There are multiple ways in which one can. It depends on how much you want to contribute. And as I said, there's hardly any facet of life of the common man that a civil servant cannot influence. So it also depends on how much you want to do rather than how you want to do, because opportunities are aplenty, and you don't choose your designated department or your post or your tenure or your posting for that matter. So I would rather not comment on how to do it, but wherever you're posted, whichever is the chair that you're sitting on, whichever is the state you are in, amidst whatever population you're in, how much you want to do entirely depends upon you. So if you think that you really want to serve the people, if you really want to contribute towards nation building, you want to leave your footprints in the conscience of this nation, this is the best opportunity, and you will definitely be able to do that. So.